Chapter 39. Amelia. Are you sure you can't stay? I asked Damien for the 10th time as I buttoned up his shirt. Amelia, he stretches. Okay. I am sorry. I let out, I had a strange dream last night and, he cuts me off, come here. He opens his arms and I bury myself in his chest. I will be fine and I will make sure to call every day and every night before you go to bed. He tightens his hold around me. I made sure there are enough guards around the house to protect you and Susan so you're safe. I nodded against his shoulder. Be careful. A voice interrupts. The car is ready, Mr. Gray. Alex informs. He breaks away and presses his lips against my forehead. I will call you. He whispers before turning around and tracing his way out the door with Alex. I just stood there watching him as he completely vanished out of my sight. A few days later. It's been 2 days and nothing. I once more reach out for my phone and like the endless amount of times, it pops up clearly with no notification from Damien. I sunk into the covers, a feeling dismay flow through me. I tried his number once again and it went straight to voicemail again. I feel tears rolling in my eyes and without care, I threw my phone to the other side of the room. What if something happened to him? No. Amelia, you need to be positive. He's probably out of coverage or something. I sucked in a deep breath, wiping my tears. I get down from the bed, deciding to get something to drink to calm my paranoid nerves. I make my way towards the bedroom door. Just as I was about to open the door, a loud thundering gun bang echoes through the house, making me freeze. I gulped. What was that? With shaky hands, I grab the metal doorknob and pull the door open gently. Susan. I whispered as I made my way through the empty hallways to the kitchen. I gulped thickly as she doesn't answer. Tentatively I pushed the kitchen door open and entered. I felt my whole body go numb in fear at what I saw. Susan was laying on the floor holding tightly to her rib as blood gushed out of it. I instantly rushed to her. You're bleeding, Susan. What happened? Another loud popping noise broke out, making me freeze. What was that? I whispered to Susan, who was almost gasping out of air. I need to call an ambulance. And no. She breathed out. In need you to take this, she says, glancing at her free hand. I froze. A gun? Take it and run as fast as you can. What's happening? I felt as if I was about to throw up. Susan. Amelia, take the gun and run. I will be fine. My heart starts hammering at its pace it never has before as I heard thundering voices approaching us. Run, Amelia. She breathes out. I stared at her with misty tears. I will be back, Susan, I promise. I choked out. She managed to nod slightly. With shaky hands I grabbed the gun. I have never used a gun. I hope I don't shot myself with it. I gulped and tightened my hands around it as I made way slowly towards the door. Another loud came crashing down, making me gasp. There's definitely an intruder in the house. My heart lurches into my chest and I try to fragment all the pieces of TV shows and shows I have watched and tried to put them together. They would always be as quiet as possible. I hold the gun up in a way I have seen Tom Cruise do a million times and scrambled out the door. I dashed up the stairs and soon after thundering footsteps erupt after me. But I didn't bother looking back. I was losing my breath with each step, but I continued running. Just as I am about to jump the last step, I get tackled from behind. The air gasping from my lungs as a hand grabs my throat. I tighten my grip on the gun as the man flips me around, so I could face him. I squirm beneath him as he pins me to the ground and tries to pry the gun out of my hand. Fuck the gun. I do the one thing I am good at, bite onto his arm. Bitch. He curses. Taking him off guard, I smack the gun in his head. His eyes widen and he falls to the side. I pushed myself off the floor feeling victorious, but before I could take another step. Chapter 40. Amelia. I am going to untie you now, but if you try anything stupid like you did before, I will forget the boss wants you alive and rip the living daylight out of you. Do you understand? My captor threatened. I nodded, feeling a wave of nausea and fear come over me. Good girl. He reached out and pulled the duct tape off my mouth, making me scream my lungs out in pain. Not so tough now, are you? He teases, before carefully untying my hands and feet. What do you want from me? I choked out as the despair of the situation took over me. Please just let me go. I sobbed. That's not my call to make, sweetie. He said with a thud as his eyes traveled down my belly. Get comfortable, love. I will be back with some food, he said, and without saying anything else he turned and walked out the door, shutting the door behind him. I wandered my eyes around the dim room. There was just one mattress and an empty table. A sob escaped my mouth as I plopped onto the mattress, feeling all the wave of emotion hit me. I began to sob more as I thought of my parents, my baby, and of Damien. I still don't know if he's okay. What's happening? What do they want from me? Too many were thoughts running through my head. I don't know how long I sat crying, but I found myself suddenly jolting up at the sound of the door slowly opening, and standing in front of me was Kim. She was holding a tray which carried a bottle of water and a plastic plate with a sandwich. I froze. I couldn't speak. All I can think of is she's behind this. Oh. Hey, hello to you too, she says as she took the food off the tray and placed it down on the table. You. I trailed off. You're behind this? I gritted. Amelia, I am sorry it has to be like this. She started, but, if you had accepted my offer in the first place, it wouldn't have come to this, she said, and I glared at her, my despair turning into rage. She took a step towards me with the empty tray in her hand. The offer still stands, Amelia, you can be free from all this. She took her eyes to my belly and smiled. For a second there it seemed like she cared, but I know she's just evil as whoever has planned this, or even more. Your baby can finally get a normal life. She went on, but I just blacked out at some point, focusing on the tray in her hand, and without thinking I lunged at her and dragged the tray out of her hands and struck her with it. She screamed out, shielding herself, but I didn't stop. You fucking bitch, you deserve to die. I just continued hitting until she was on the floor and blood was gushing out of her. Amelia. I felt a voice shaking me. What? I let out. Wait. Was I daydreaming? Just accept the deal, Amelia. I cleared my throat with a scoff. I am not interested in your stupid deal, Kim. You can take the deal and shove it up your ass. I spat. My adrenaline was pumping and I was breathing hard. Now get me out of here. I gritted. She smiles creepily. Eat up and get some rest, Amelia. You clearly need it, was the last word she said before walking out the door. I plopped myself back on the couch. The adrenaline was still coursing through me. I was going to get out of here somehow. I just need to be strong and calm. I leaned down and ran my hands over my belly. The bad man won't get to you, baby, I promise. I smiled weakly as my eyes landed on the food. I reached over to it and picked up the sandwich. Gulping, I took a bite of it and began to chew. I was definitely hungry. I gulped down the water, feeling a little better. I laid back on the mattress staring at the concrete ceiling. I was terrified to meet the monster behind this nightmare. If he truly has a vendetta against the Greys, then I truly need to get out of here and fast, because I am not only involved with a Greys. I happen to be carrying one. Those were my last thoughts as exhaustion worn out over my fear and I fell into an uneasy sleep.